Hello everyone, this is Jay Jagdishwar from Smart. So today we will gonna learn about JSON. Now if you have developed websites or web application at all, you have probably heard of JSON, right? At least in passing. But what exactly is JSON? What can it do and how do we use it? We will look in this video. Now before I begin with this session, I will walk you through the agenda today. We will look into JSON, what is JSON and uses of JSON. And then we will move on to look in characteristics of JSON, and then we will look into various data types that are available in JSON, and then we will look into the syntax of JSON, and then we will work on JSON using JavaScript and as well as using Java. In Java, we will try to read the JSON data from a JSON file, and we will try to write the JSON data into a JSON file. Now imagine if you have a web application and you want to fetch the data from the server. Now how a server will provide you the data? It will provide you the data in the form of JSON or in the form of XML. Since we have only option to transmit data between browser to server is JSON or XML. Now we will look what is JSON. So JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and JavaScript is a syntax for storing and exchanging data. The format was first specified by Douglas Crawford and it is pronounced as JSON or it may be JSON. JSON is designed for human readable data interchange, and JSON is a text. It is written with JavaScript Object Notation and it has a file extension of .json. So JSON is easy to read and write than XML and supports data types like array, object, string, numbers and values. JSON uses JavaScript syntax, but the JSON format is text only. The text can be read and used as a data format by any programming language. So JSON is a simple text-based way to store and transmit structured data. By using a simple syntax, you can easily store anything from a single number through to strings, array and objects using nothing but a simple string of plain text. You can also nest arrays object also. Once you have created your JSON string, it's easy to send it to another application or computer because it's just plain text. Since JavaScript Object Notation, as the name implies, it's based on the way you define objects. Uses of JSON. It helps you to transfer data from a server to browser. JSON format helps transmit and serialize all types of structured data. Allows you to perform asynchronous data calls without the need to do a page refresh. Basically, we use JSON with Ajax. So it is widely used for JavaScript based application, which includes browser extension and websites. Web services and API use JSON format to provide public data. It can be used with modern programming languages. So JSON can be used irrespective of any language, since JSON is a language independent. No matter which programming language you use, JSON is always supported to every language. So JSON is most commonly used in web application to send data from the server to browser. So typically you transfer the JSON data using Ajax. Now we will look into the characteristics. So JSON is easy to read and write, and it is lightweight text-based interchange format, and it is language independent, as I told you before. So here are the data types that are available in JSON. So we have string, numbers, arrays, objects, booleans, null. We will look each of these data type in detail. For this, I have to open something called json.lint. So json.lint is basically a website where we can validate our JSON. So beginning with a curly braces. Inside the curly braces, I need to create JSON object, right? First is strings. The data type would be string, right? So simply what I will do is here is I will give a name colon. The colon is used to separate key and value. The name will be like John, and second data type will be number. Age, I will give it as a age colon 30. Comma is used to separate the data, and third thing is array. So John has children's. John has children's. He might be having 3 kids. What I will do here is I will enclose 3 kids, wrap it into an array. So square brackets, in between square brackets I can have again JSON object. Within JSON object I'll provide name as a first child. So first child name would be Mark, okay, and his age will be like 5 year old. So comma is used to separate the data, as I told you. I'll copy and paste in here, and the second child name would be Angel, and her age will be like 3 years old, and third child would be like Stella, and her age will be 1. Okay, and what is the another data type we have? So we have objects. What I did is here I provided JSON data inside the arrays as its elements, and then we have a boolean here. So he might be having an address also, which left blank, so null. And then what is another data type we have? We have a boolean here, and married true. Simply I will give it as a true. I will simply just go down here and click on validate JSON. So it is telling me that somewhere I have did a mistake. So here it is. Even if I make a minute mistake, it will result in an error. And again I will click on validate JSON. So yeah, so it says me the valid JSON. Whatever the data I have provided here, whatever the thing I have written here, it is a JSON object. So I have this JSON, and now what I will do here is I will just open my text editor. In my case I am using Visual Studio. You can use any of the text editor of your choice. You can use normal Notepad, or you can use Sublime Text, Atom, whichever text editor you may be use. It's your choice. What I will do here is I will create a new file. To make things faster, what I've did is I've actually created a type in HTML already. I'll copy this and I will simply paste it, and I'll save this file as JSON example. So since this is a HTML, so I will provide it as a HTML and I will save it. So I have this HTML file, and I have a body tag here, right? Inside the body tag I can have a script, right? So I'll type in a script. Sorry. inside script tag, what I will do here is I will take a variable here. If you know how to work on JavaScript object, then you can easily able to work on JSON object also. So I will take person, and I will just create a JavaScript object instead of JSON object. So what I will do here is I simply just go back to my browser and I will copy all this thing and I will paste it in my text editor. So this is a JSON object, we know, right? But I need JavaScript object. Now what I can do here is I will remove all of these codes of keys which results in JavaScript object. So there is a simple difference between JavaScript object and JSON object. So the keys which are there in JavaScript are quotesless, which means it doesn't have quotes. So this will become a JavaScript object now. So yes, I have this JavaScript object. Now what I will do here is I will console this and I will print this to the console. The object name which I gave is person. Okay, I'll simply pass in the person here to print person. Now I will save this file. I will just go to here and copy path. Now open your browser and paste in the path here and just click on enter. See, I have got this introduction to JSON since I have given here a tag h1 to introduction to JSON object. So I have printed something like a person in the console, right? So to open developer tools, we have three options. One way is you can simply right click on your mouse and you can hover your mouse to inspect and just click on here. It will launch in the developer tools, or you can just click on simply these tiny little dots here, and if you can press here, you can find more tools, and in the more tools you have a developer tools. You can click here, that will launch in the developer tools, or you can simply type in Control-Shift-I, that will launch developer tools in Google Chrome. So if you are working in Internet Explorer, or if you are working in Microsoft Edge, you can simply press F12, that will launch in the developer tools. So I will simply go to the console. See, yes, I have an object here. Okay, I have an object. Since this is a JavaScript object, I have only controlled JavaScript object. Now what I will do here is I will convert this JavaScript object into a JSON object. Now how I can do that? In JavaScript we have two options, like one is to convert JavaScript object into text version of JSON. So how I can do that? Just simply by using JSON.stringify method. By using JSON.stringify method, I can able to convert this JavaScript object into text version of JSON. I'll provide with a variable called JSON object, JOBJ equal to JSON string. So I have a JSON string here. Again, I will console log here, passing in the parameter JSON string. Click on enter, save the file, just go back to your browser and refresh, simply refresh. See, I have this text version of JSON object. So this way we can work on JSON object. Now what if I want to parse this JSON object, parse this text version of JSON object? So again we have a method called json.parse. So json.parse, what this json.parse will do is it will convert a text version of JSON object into a JavaScript object. Okay, now I will pass in this JSON string object and parse this object, and I'll put this in a variable called Json Parse. Now again I will console this. I'll pass in this parameter JSON Parse. Now click on save and again go back to the browser. See again I have rendered this. I have passed the text version of JSON object. So this way we can work on JSON object, switching to between JSON object and JavaScript object. So what if I want to access this value inside this the JavaScript object? I can simply use this object dot operator followed by the key value, which is name. Okay, and we'll console this again. I will save this, go back to the browser. See, I can now able to access the value called John. So this way we can retrieve the JSON data. And now what if I want to retrieve this data? How I can do that? Simply by using a for loop. So because inside array I have 3 objects, right? Inside array I have 3 JSON objects. So I will simply use in a for loop variable I is equal to 0. Before using a for loop, I will create one variable output and I will specify this value as null, and as long as the array size person dot children dot length, as long as I less than person dot children dot length, I want to iterate to each of this. Now what I will do here is I will self concatenate with the JSON data by accessing it. Children's of I, between I will pass in a parameter of index to get the value dot name, and again I will concatenate with age, children's age. Again I have to add in a break parameter. Sorry, break tag. Now I'll simply write this to console by using document object dot write. Now save this file, go back to your browser. See, I have printed this JSON data. onto the developer tools, onto the browser. So this way we can work on JSON data. Now we will see how to use JSON in Java, how we can read the JSON data and how we can write the JSON data. For this I need to create a project. I will just click on new project. Firstly you need to go to the Eclipse IDE and then you have to click on file, new, and then select project. And when you click on the project, a dialog box will open, and there you have to select a project called Maven project, because since we don't have direct support to JSON in Java, so that's why we have to use Maven project instead of a Java project. So Maven project has a dependency over JSON, so there we can use JSON. Now click on next to create a Maven project. Again click on next, again click on next. I will name it as a JSON example. Again I will click on finish. So this will create a Maven project. So I am having a Maven project here. It is loading all the necessary files into the project, which must have into the project. It is taking a bit time. Yes, my project has been created. Now open this Maven dependency. We don't have any jar file related to JSON object, right? So I just wanted to show you something like why I'm using Maven here. Just go to browser and type Maven, and if you can click on the website, it tells us Apache Maven is a software project management and comprehension tool based on the concept of a project object model. Maven can manage a project's build, reporting and documentation from a central piece of information, which means it is using a project object model, a POM model, where we can have every repository and every dependency to create complete application. So that's why I'm choosing Maven to create this, to make this happen. When you observe this, in Maven dependencies, I don't have any jar file related to JSON. So what I will do here is I will open this pom.xml file. Simply click on pom.xml. This will open pom.xml. Give me a second. Yes, here's a pom.xml. So under dependency, whichever the dependency you see, the JSON, JUnit, JUnit 3.8.1, something like this, right? Remove all this dependency. Okay, remove all this dependency and just open the browser and type in mvn repository. And if you go into the mvn repository, here you have to type Json simple, because I have dependency over JSON, so I need to have JSON in my Maven project. Click on simple.json, sorry, json.simple, and then I have 111 version here. So click on 111. Then I have got this dependency. Simply you can copy this and you can go back to your Eclipse and paste whatever the dependency you have copied here, and you can simply save the file. Okay, save. If you have saved this file, then automatically, if you can observe here in Maven dependency, the JSON simple.jar file has been added, right? Which means I'm telling to this project that I need that I have dependency over JSON, I want all classes related to JSON, right? So now what I will do here is I will click on JSON example, and I will create a new folder here. New folder. Inside the new folder, I will give name as JSON files, since I working with JSON files, right? JSON files, and click on finish. When you click on finish, it will create a JSON files folder, and the JSON files create one new file and name it as person.json and click on finish. So this will open. It is telling me that such marketplace for compatible editors.json has just ignore this. Just click. Now close this pom.xml file. Open this person.json. Open with text editor. Now whatever the JSON data you have created in json.lint, copy this. First validate whether it is proper JSON or not, and copy all this JSON and put it in your file. Now I have JSON file. Okay, inside JSON file I have JSON data also. Now what I will do here is I want to read this JSON data, right, by using Java. So what I will do here is I will go on to source test Java, and then I will create a new class, read JSON data, and I will name this class as read JSON data, and I want main method to be included, and click on finish. When you click on finish, it will create a class. Now as I want to read this JSON data, right, what I will do here is I will simply split this window to be you could be able to see this, and yep. The first thing I need to read this file, right? So in order to read this JSON file, I have a class called file reader. So compiler is telling me to import io.fileReader, since it is coming from FileReader class, and between FileReader I need to specify the path. Okay, where is the file location? So // so the // represents the current directory. So I'm in a directory called JSON example, and under in JSON example I have again a folder called JSON file. Okay, simply just type in JSON file, again // inside JSON files folder I have this file called person.json. Now I have accessed this. Again compiler is showing me some compiler error, so it is telling me to add throw declaration. Just click on here, it will add a file not found exception. You can do this by simply enclosing this between try and catchy block, but I don't want to print all the exception to the stack. Simply I just want to throw this. Okay, you can click here. I have a file, I have this reader. Okay, now what I have to do is I want to parse this. I have to parse this, then only I can able to have that JSON data, right? So to parse this JSON data, I have again one class called Json Parser. JSON Parser. Okay, I have this JSON parser object also. Compiler is still IntelliSense is telling me to import this JSON parser, so import this JSON parser. Okay. And now what I will do here is I will parse this JSON. I will parse this file. Okay. JSON parser is JSON parses dot parse by using a parse method. See, IntelliSense is telling me to provide a parameter, to pass in a parameter of reader, right? So in my case, this is the reader. So you simply just pass in this reader parameter within the pass method. Since this is a JSON object, right? So that's why I have to specify this as an object. obj. Okay, I have this object also, and again this is telling me some compiler error. IntelliSense is telling me to add no declaration. So simply you can click on that. I have this object also. Now what I have to do is I have Java object, but I don't need Java object. I need JSON object, right? I have to convert this object into JSON object. Now how I can do that? I can do that simply by using a JSON object class. JSON object class. JOBJ is equal to new. First I will convert this object by casting into JSON object. So since this is a JSON object, I have to specify this is JSON object. Okay. Now I have this JSON object also. Now import this JSON object, which will import JSON object here. Now JSON object, right? So inside now I can able to access this value. Now how I can able to access this value inside JSON object? By using a method called obj dot. I have a method called get. Okay, using get method, see there are one overload here. It is telling me like I have to pass in a parameter of object key, returns the value to which the specified key is mapped, or null if this map contains no mapping for the key, right? So I need to pass in a parameter of key. So name, copy and paste in here to avoid spelling mistakes. So I have this name with me. Since this name is in a type of string, right? So I need to typecast this as a string, and I will put this in a variable string name. Okay, I have this value, and I also want to access this age value also. Again I have to use this get method jobj.get, and I'll pass in the parameter of age. But here I have to completely convert this by using .toString method, because if you can able to see here, this is not a type of string, it is a type number. So I have to completely convert this into string, and then I can able to put this in a variable called age. Okay, what I will do here is I will just simply console this. I'll print this to console. Okay, and similarly age also. Copy this, paste in here, age. Now save the file and this also. Now simply go ahead and run Java application. See, I have got this JSON data by using Java. Right, this way how we can get the data by using Java. We have read the file now, but if you can see here, I have this array. Now how I can get this array values here? Now I can do this by using a class called Json Array. By using this Json Array, now first I will get this key. First I will get this key children's. Since children's is a type of array, right? This is a type of array. It consists the value in the form of array. So I have to typecast it. Json array. Yes, I have typecast it. It is telling me, it is asking me to import Json array. So I have imported. And what I will do here is inside an array, again I have 3 JSON objects, right? Again I have 3 JSON objects. Now what I will do here is I will simply just loop into each of the element and I will iterate the value and I will print it to console. Integer I is equal to 0, I less than array dot size. Now as long as I less than array size, I have to loop in. I plus plus. Now I have an array, right? Inside the array, each element is again a JSON object. So what I will do here is by using array object and dot get method. See, dot get method is asking me to give an index here, index value, to iterate through each of this element, right? So I, and since this is a form of JSON object, right? Every element is in the form of JSON object, so I need to typecast this and then I will put it in a variable. Okay, child object. Now I have this child object. By using child object, I can able to access this inside of this key. Child object dot again dot get method name. Since this is in a form of string, I have to typecast and store it in a variable child name. Now I have this child name and I also want to access this age value also. Now how I can do that? I can do that simply by again using get method. Okay, child object dot get method. I will pass in the age as a parameter and then I will simply, as this is age is in the form of number data type, so I will completely convert this by using dot toString method and I will store it in a variable called child age. Now I have child name also and child age also. Now what I will do here is I will simply just console this. Child 1 is I'll concatenate child name with child name variable. Copy this and paste in here. Again, child age also. Now save this file and go ahead and run this. You can simply just click on run on the above, or you can do like this. See, I have this JSON data here on the console. First I am accessing this John and his age and his children's data, complete children's data, as I have did in here. See, as I have did this in here. And we have seen how to read JSON data. Now we will see how to write JSON data. Okay, first I will create one file, new file again, and under new file I will name it as, the file name would be like courses for you, courses.json. okay, now when you click on finish, just ignore this and you have a course .json also. Open this file by with text editor. So I have this courses.json as empty file, right? Now I have to write some JSON data into this file. Now how I can do that? I can do that simply by using a class called file.writer. First, do that, I need to create a class and I will name it as write JSON data, and I want to include static method and click on finish. So I have a file here, write JSON data class. Now the first thing is we have to create a JSON object. So to create JSON object, we have to import JSON object class. To create JSON object, I have to use JSON object class, and we have to create an object for that. And IntelliSense is telling me to import the JSON object, so you can have an option to click on there, which result in importing the JSON object here. So again I have a method called object.put, where I can put JSON data. Okay, see, in a moment you write put, we have one overload here, which is telling me to associate the specified value with the specified key in this map. If the map previously contained a mapping for the key, the old value is replaced. What it is telling me, if it is already already the keys existed, which means it is overridden and values changed. So what I will do here is I will simply subject 1 I will give it as a subject 1, comma, key will be like computer science. So I have created an object, and again I will create another object, another data by using Json object. Copy this, paste multiple times, subject 2, and this is subject 3. So subject 2 will be like electronics, and subject 3 will be like machines. So I have this JSON object. Now what if I want to put array? So if I want to put this array, I have a class called Json Array again, wherein you can create a Json array, and then you can put this Json array as key as value in Json. Array is equal to new Json array. Okay, I have this Json array also, and then IntelliSense is telling me to import this Json array. Since you can click on that thing, it will import Json array. So array dot, here I have add method. See, add method. For add method I have two overloads. One overload is telling me to simply you can give an object, or you can simply, if I want to replace something, any array based on the index value, that also I can do that here by using second overload. Okay, but now I will only use first overload, and inside array I will give the value like the first course is C. Okay, C programming language, C programming. And I'll copy this thing, paste in multiple times. Second array value will be Python, and third array value will be Java. And if you can open this read JSON data, we have a file to read JSON data. Now, but the same thing applies here. To write JSON data, I have a class called file writer. Okay, I have this file writer. So IntelliSense is telling me to import this file. Again it is telling me to provide the path. So the path is this. Okay. Copy this path, paste in here. So dot backslash represent current directory, and inside JSON files I have courses.json. .json. Okay. Okay, I have add throw declaration to avoid exceptions, and I have a method called write. What I have to write? I have to write this JSON object, right? So copy this, put in here dot toString. I want it to be as string, right? So dot toString, save this file again. Now I have to flash this. Why I have to flash this is because if any leftover stream is left, it will flash, and then I have to close this. Now save the file. First click on course.json. Make sure that you don't have any data in the courses.json, and click on add suppress warnings to avoid warnings. So that will add this here, and just simply go ahead and run. Okay, run as Java application. So the program has been executed, and when you click on courses.json, you can able to observe the JSON data, okay, which we have provided, but the array has didn't inserted. First take out it all again and save this. The array is didn't added because I didn't put this in JSON array. So object.put courses, and the value will be the array. The value will be array. And again run. See, now I have all the JSON data. Now copy all this JSON data, and you just go to browser and open json.lint. Go paste here and validate the JSON string. So it's telling me it is a valid JSON. So we have this way we can print. This way we can write JSON data into JSON file, and we can read JSON data also. So this is up, guys. Thank you.